Before I did the Healthy Hips program and dealt with my chronic hip pain, I was trying to live an active lifestyle. I have a Pilates studio, so I was doing Pilates. I did a lot of strength training, but I was having increasing pain with an issue in my hip that I had dealt with PT in the past, but it kept coming back. It was starting to just infringe on my everyday life. Like I would shift my weight and all of a sudden I'd have some pain or I'd get out of the car. The pain in my hip was sort of getting so bad that I started to just forego some of my workouts. I was afraid to, especially work through the lower body. And so I was finding that I was working out less and even just losing motivation for workouts that didn't include my lower body. And I felt like that was just not acceptable. I'm an active person. I've always been an active person. And I feel like exercising, movement is just a critical component to have quality of life. So I knew that I had to do something, and I had to do something differently than I had before. And so when I came across Dr. Jessica's program, it seemed like her approach included some things that my experience in PT did not include before. I took the time to listen to a pretty lengthy description of her program. It applied working through the pelvic floor in a way that had never been addressed in PT I had done in the past, as well as looking at pain from a neural pathway standpoint. And so that was very compelling to me. Now, having just wrapped up the 12-week program, I have pretty much no pain most of the time. And occasionally I do have some symptoms, but my relationship to the pain is completely different. In the past, I would say that it sort of stopped me in my tracks. There was sort of a cascade of fear and immobility. And now I just feel like, okay, this is the signals that my brain is sending to me, trying to protect me. And structurally, I'm actually fine. And so maybe I'll do some mobility. But mostly I'm just able to move forward and be active. And I've gotten back to my strength training program. It was so great the other day to have like real soreness, a positive soreness in my legs, all throughout my hips, and just feel like I'm getting stronger and back to the things that I love to do. There were so many resources, really such a comprehensive program, not just a really thorough assessment and then progression into more and more complex, demanding activities. But also really critical were things like mindset. There was a true mind-body connection approach to this whole program. Lots of exercises that really brought to the fore the power of your mind, your brain, changing neural pathways. And I would also say that the various experts that were made available through this program were really helpful too, in terms of nutrition, mindset. Breath work was a really interesting addition and component of this program that I had not really explored. I had done lots with meditation before, but this particular way of using breath work, visualization, were really helpful. And something I'm sure I'm going to continue going forward, no doubt about it. I would also say that the resources of group coaching calls. So I think in the past, I was always someone who would say, I'm going to figure this out myself. I can do this. I don't need help. But not only was it helpful to have one-on-one help from Dr. Jessica, but also learning from the group. So getting support from the group and also just learning through other people's experiences and how I could relate to that was super helpful. I guess the advice that I would give other people who are trying to approach their chronic hip pain is to start to expand your mind in terms of how you can approach your pain and your circumstance. That going into this program, I recognized that there were some different things here that I was really interested in, namely the pelvic floor work and the neural pathway work. But I had no idea that there would be, the kinds of things like journaling or manifesting or doing breath work. Though it was a little surprising at first, I kept my mind open and applied myself to all of those things. It takes commitment and consistency and work to do it. But on the other hand, don't try to do everything alone. That getting advice and expertise from someone who has a lot of experience can be critical. And also working together with a group can also be surprisingly helpful and effective. If you're skeptical about joining this program, I would listen to the entirety of Dr. Jessica's informational video, which really explains comprehensively a lot of what she does. But nonetheless, you may not expect from that video, you really can't get the entirety of what is given to you as a client in this process. I would suggest to keep your mind open and to not underestimate the power of your mind in conjunction with the things that you may have been trying in the past, which could be mainly physical. That the combination of the two is very powerful. I'm super grateful to have had this experience. Not only do I have more information for myself, and I know I'm going to rely on these resources for years to come and explore a lot of the things that are offered up in the program, and also go further in my own pursuits with curiosity, but also in my own profession as a movement person. I teach Pilates and do other kinds of movement modalities. And I'm sure I can offer some of this new knowledge to my clients and help other people too.